Welcome into Walk the Line, where I'm your host, OG Chris Murray, giving you my Dynasty Madden League Week 8 picks. Listen, Week 7 was a total head scratcher. We had guys who were the underdogs that completely just went out and demolished the favorite team. You had guys that you didn't project to get a W this season, put a plus in the win column. You know, it was just crazy. But that's what I love about the DML. You don't know who's going to take home the W, man. Like, any given week, any user can knock off anybody. Just simple as that. You can have a bottom tier user knock off a top tier user. You can have a top tier user go out and drop 80 points on another top tier user. So it's exciting, man. It's exciting. And the season is starting to bubble up. We're on the second half of the season, so let's dive into these picks. First up, we got Tight Work in the Miami Dolphins versus SJ in the Houston Texans. Okay, Tight Work got back Ryan Tannehill, and that offense last week seemed to just gel together perfectly. The passing game looked strong. Kenyon Drake rushed for over 100 plus yards. And the number one thing that stood out about this Miami Dolphins offense was no turnovers. Now, they're going up against SJ and the Houston Texans, who are on their high horses right now after knocking off the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hold on, let's rewind that back real fast. Not only did they knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were the favorite heading into Jacksonville. Not only did they cover the spread, they dropped 40 on them and left the Jacksonville Jaguars with a Krispy Kreme donut on the scoreboard. Now, this week, the line is -5 with the Houston Texans being the favorite. These are two users who were in the same division last cycle, who knows each other's game style very well, who I know do not want to walk away without the W. This pick, with how the Houston Texans played last week, they're pretty much looking like a front runner for the AFC Championship game, being one of the teams in the AFC Championship game. How they looked last week, I can't pick against them this week. I'm going to take the Houston Texans without the line, taking a W over Tight Work and the Miami Dolphins heading into Week 9 with the W. Next up, we have Matty Ice in the Philadelphia Eagles versus Expert in the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, these are two users, top-tier users, who came off of tough losses last week. Okay, it's question marks on both sides with these teams. You have, of course, out there in Jacksonville, we all know what that question mark is, Blake Bortles. Can he figure out how to stop turning the ball over? I'm telling you right now, Jacksonville, he is going to be the reason why you guys are not going to have a shot at winning the banner at the end of the season, because he just can't seem how to not just don't turn the ball over. Now, if you watch the game tape on this guy, it's like every single day, every single drop back, he's throwing the ball to the defender as if he was one of his receivers. Like, it's not like it's being overthrown. Like, it's being thrown straight to the defender. I already know Jacksonville right now are out shopping for a new quarterback, so maybe that's messing with his confidence a little bit. But Blake and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have to figure it out, and figure it out fast. Now, in Philly, Matty Ice. After watching Matty play season after season after season, when it gets down to them crunch time moments, when the game is very tight and very close, for some reason, watching Matty, he seems to let games slip right through his fingers. Now, I'm not jumping off a cliff or anything. I'm not getting ahead of myself because it's only a regular season loss. But Matty has to figure out how to get this going. He has to figure out how to get this funk out of the way before he actually make his run for the playoffs. Because the Eagles are hands down one of my favorite teams that are going to be in the NFC Championship game, competing for the banner at the end of the season. Now, Vegas must know something that Vegas must know something that y'all don't know, because they have the line sitting at Matty Ice and the Philadelphia Eagles being a favorite, minus 9 points heading into Jacksonville to knock off the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I know why the line is this. Vegas does not trust Blake Bortles, and I think Vegas got this one wrong. I think this will be a bounce back win for Expert. You know, these are two guys that in the beginning of this cycle we thought was going to land in the same division and battle it out for the division champ. But I think this is a game that Expert is has game planned on and definitely wants to walk away with the W. So I'm going to take Expert taking the W over Matty Ice and the Philadelphia Eagles. Next up, we have JB Blazing and the Denver Broncos versus KP and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you missed this game, when they first played each other, this was a complete shootout. Both teams combined for a total of 80 points. But since that game, the Denver Broncos have not been the same Denver Broncos. And the Chiefs have excelled a little bit more than where they were at when they first was in this matchup. I think it's going to be a repeating occurrence. Tyreek Hill is going to go off for over $150. The Denver Broncos got their heads bashed in last week by 40 plus points. So I'm going to have to take KP and the Kansas City Chiefs getting an easy W. Not with the point spread. They have it at minus 14. I'm gonna take KP just straight up. Getting a W heading into week 9. Next up, we have what was nominated as the Shit Bowl game. Both teams, my Cleveland Browns, pretty much were just flat out playing like shit. Just to be honest, playing like shit. Flair, we don't know what's going on out there in Pittsburgh, but for everyone that has been tuned into the show, every week we do a thing called the Amber Alert, where, just to get some background on the Amber Alert, is heading into the season we had a list of players that we had high expectations for, who flat out just completely fell off the map and are just flat out stinking it up. And this week Amber Alerts goes to Antonio Brown. I don't know what's going on out there with management in Pittsburgh, but Flair needs to figure something out. We're talking about Antonio Brown, Mr. 99 himself. The best wide receiver in the DML. I just can't wrap my mind around this. He's just cracking 150 in receiving yards. What is going on in Pittsburgh, man? What is going on? You have one of the most stacked offenses in the DML, and for you to come out week after week after week, only averaging a total of 5.5 points, is flat out horrible. This game was a no-brainer. I knew what my Cleveland Browns was going to do. This is what we had marked down as get back game, and we came out, we did exactly what we did, man. Dropped 30 on his head, put them paws on him, and headed into week 9 with the W. Next up, we have under 2 rated in the Washington Redskins versus Westside Pablo and the New York Giants. Under 2 rated in the Washington Redskins need a win bad. I don't think that the Washington Redskins want to take my advice and get no W's. I think right now they're contending for either the first round, the number 1 overall pick, or the number 2 overall pick. I don't think that they're competing right now. I think they pretty much packed their season up and is pretty much prepping their off-season game plan. Westside Pablo and the New York Giants came out last week as the underdog and knocked off the Atlanta Falcons. Went into Atlanta, and even though that secondary got shredded apart, the front four played amazing, getting after the quarterback 4 times, and they also forced Matt Ryan to make tough decisions, and they won those tough decisions, causing 4 interceptions. This week, he's going up against, a struggling Washington Redskins team. One thing about Westside Pablo that I want to tip my head off to is you tuned into the Amber Alert, man, because we found Saquon Barkley. He actually got going last week. He actually put up a total of 130 combined yards with 1 touchdown. So I think Westside Pablo is still trying to figure things out with his offense. Who are his key guys? The quarterback position is still, a big question mark there, but I think he's starting to figure things out. And this week, I can see him getting a W over under 2 rated in the Washington Redskins. However, they have the current line at a total of -2. So I think Westside Pablo can cover that. So I'm going to take the New York Giants with the line over under 2 rated heading into week 9 with the W. Next up, we have Houdini and the Seattle Seahawks versus Taz and the Detroit Lions. Houdini's coming off of a well-needed bye week. Russell Wilson, the brother can't get no help out there in Seattle. And it just seems like, Houdini has figured out that this season is pretty much over. He's just trying to make it to the off season. Just see what pick he got. See what guys he's going to tune into drafting. Taz, last week, the interception bug was all the way planted out there in Miami. He threw for a total of 7 interceptions. The Lions is a team that I like on paper, and I also like, how they play when they're not turning over the ball when they're on the field. This pretty much is going to be a game. Who can win the turnover battle? Who can win the turnover battle? The line is the Detroit Lions -3. We know that, they gave that to him because he's the home team. But I think that, that Taz can get this W with the spread. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions with the spread over Houdini and the Seahawks, getting a W going into week 9. Next up, we have T-Pain and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Big Homie and the Cincinnati Bengals. T-Pain, man, last week, gave me a slice of that humble pie. He came out, man, he balled out. There was some technical difficulties with, how Madden was operating on my side of the ball, but, it is what it is. He came out, he got the W. Fitzmagic was sprinkled all over the field. He made key plays. He was smart with the ball, took care of the ball. So now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have some hope. Some hope out there in Tampa. But he's going up against a team that 1 week they have identity on the offensive side of the ball, then the next it just vanishes. Vegas have the line right now with the Big Homie as the favorite, -5 points. I think T-Pain is with the spread is going to get this done, man. I think T-Pain, like I said, there's some hope out there in Tampa now. I think T-Pain is going to go into Cincinnati and take the W over the Big Homie heading into week 9 with the W. Next up, we have Ness and the New York Jets versus the Bus and the Chicago Bears. Ness has shown week after week after week, no matter what the scenario is, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the circumstances is, that he will not be rattled out there on the field. And he's produced W after W after W after W. Whether you say it's an ugly W, whether you say it's a beautiful W, he's producing W after W after W. Sitting at 6-1. Nobody in the DML could have projected that the Jets will be sitting at the number 2 spot in the playoff race. Number 2 spot in the AFC. Winning their division right now currently over tight work. So it's still a tight race out there. Don't get me wrong, the division is not won yet. It's still a tight race. But Ness has exceeded all expectations. He came in and, in my eye, put the definition of the season, meaning when it comes down to pure stick skills, he put that shit in bold letters out there in New York. But he's going up against the last Mohican standing undefeated team in the DML with the Bus. The Bus defense is nasty. And this is going to be another test for Ness this week. I'm telling you, them boys, I preach it week after week after week after week. Now, what I have noticed from the bus from the past couple weeks is his offense is starting to pick up with his defense. So now it's just not like he's leaning on his defense to win these games. He's coming out and he's putting up some impressive points, against these guys in the DML. So Ness is going to figure out how number one, to crack their code of the Chicago Bears defense, and two, slow down their offense. They currently have the line with, of course, the Bucs being the favorite, minus 5 points. I'm going to take a leap here with my first upset pick of Week 8 with Ness going into Chicago and knocking off the Bucs and the Bears, giving them the first loss of the 2018 season. Next up, we have Matty Lowe and the Baltimore Ravens versus C-Rob and the Carolina Panthers. All right, these are two users who knocked off the two top 3 users right now in the DML. I'm going to have to go with 85 first, Matty Ice second, and I'm going to go with the Bucs sitting in the third slot. So Matty Lowe knocked off of the number 1 user in the DML, in my opinion, and C-Rob knocked off the number 2 user in the DML, in my opinion. Both guys came out, played good football. I think Matty Lowe inherited, everyone says, a good Baltimore Ravens team, but this team out of Lamar Jackson really lacks talent in all areas on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have a solid wide receiver group. Their O-line is not, solid. Their defense lack talent at multiple positions. This is just a team that comes out and just play Baltimore football, And since Matty Lowe took them over, he definitely made an impressive mark on the DML by taking off Eddie and the Saints last week. You got to give the guys props. He came out, he played good ball. Even with C-Rob, the Panthers has been struggling this season, but he came out last week with a solid game plan and knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think that the upper hand goes to Matty Lowe this week in the Baltimore Ravens, taking a W over C-Rob and the Carolina Panthers, getting a W heading into Week 9. Next up, we have Marizi and the Indianapolis Colts versus Tone and the Oakland Raiders. All right, Marizi, he did what we thought he was going to do last week. He beat the Bills. Okay, we're not going to spend no time on that. I want to spend some time on these Oakland Raiders. Okay, for everyone who knows, the Oakland Raiders right now are 4-2. 4-2, and they're flying under a lot of guys' radar, but I'm telling you right now, y'all need to wake up and smell the coffee, because these Oakland Raiders are serious. They're top 10 in offensive yards, averaging 26 points a game, top 3 in stopping the run. They're getting after the quarterback, and they're causing turnovers. Y'all better wake up, because this is a team that is creeping through that back door, and a lot of guys are not noticing it, man. I think this is a week where he's going to display his stick skills and knock off Marizi and the Indianapolis Colts with the spread minus 5 points, taking a W going into Week 9. Next up, we have Sweets 99, the San Francisco 49ers versus Guwap and the Arizona Cardinals. The 49ers took a devastating loss last week, losing Jimmy G. 22 weeks. That's a major blowout there in San Fran. They're going up against an Arizona Cardinals team that could not do no wrong last week. He dropped a 55 clip on the Broncos. I think that this is going to be a week that Jimmy G would have been needed, because Arizona have shown that they can produce points. And we've seen already Sweets 99 struggle with Jimmy G at the quarterback position. Now with the backup coming into Arizona, he's going to have to figure out how to get that offensive machine going, because we have seen Guwap put up a large amount of points on users. Now, depending on what Arizona Cardinals team we get, because we know they can flip-flop. One moment they're looking like a top-tier team, next one looking like a bottom feeder. Depending on what Arizona Cardinals team we get out there on the football field, this can get real ugly real fast. However, I don't think that Guwap stick skills matches Sweets 9-9. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers with the backup quarterback going into Arizona, getting the W heading into week 9. Next up, we have Moby and the Green Bay Packers versus King Vitamin and the Los Angeles Rams. King Vitamin, the turnover bug has creeped up in LA. Week after week, now you have thrown for over 3 interceptions. You have to take care of the ball. You cannot expect the LA Rams to win a banner this season if they cannot take care of the ball. This is a game that I think King Vitamin is going to settle down, get his mojo back, and, take the easy W. The line right now is -5 points, as, the Rams being the favorite. I think that he can cover that. Mo B is still trying to figure some things out there in Green Bay. So I'm going to have to take, with this pick, the King Vitamin and Los Angeles Rams with the spread, taking the W over the Green Bay Packers going into week 9. Next up, we have 85 and the New Orleans Saints versus Hamilton and the Minnesota Vikings. Addy, man, got Drew Brees balling out MVP football. Front runner for the league's MVP right now. But we know he's a quarterback guru. He knows how to have top production out of his quarterback. And he's currently sitting at the number 1 spot in defense in the DML. So these are 2 things that we already know about Eddie, which he excel at in the DML. Hamilton, what has going on? It's like the switch has been flicked off out there in Minnesota. What's going on? The defense is still playing good, but it seems like the offense have just flat out disappeared. They just flat out disappeared, and Vegas must know something that we definitely don't know, because they have this game -15. They're saying that Eddie's gonna come out there in Minnesota and crack. Fuck crack. They saying that Eddie is going to rip your head off. What is going on out there in Minnesota, baby? You was one of them teams that I still have hope that this team will be in a race for a wild card slot. And you're going to shake that, get the monkey off your back from that playoff drought of not seeing him on top in the playoffs. But you have to get that mojo back on the offensive side of the ball. We know you got defense. We know the defense is out there in Minnesota, but you have to bring that offense back. You're definitely going to need it in this game. With the spread sitting at -15, how can I pick against the Saints? After getting a L last week, how can I pick against the Saints? So I'm going to take 85 with the spread over Hamilton and the Minnesota Vikings. Getting the W going into week 9. Next up, we have the Schemer and the New England Patriots versus Skill Trade and the Buffalo Bills. Wow. That's all we can say is wow. The Schemer, you cost a lot of people a lot of money. That's all we're going to say about this game. And shout out to the Bills for making me wrong this cycle, and they got a W. I'm your host, OG Chris Murray. Those are my picks for week 8. Drop a comment. We're dropping a show after every event, so make sure you tune in. I'm out.